Am I the a-hole for wearing my wedding dress to someone else's wedding? I 20F married my husband 2 years ago. We aren't rich and don't care that much about weddings, so I wore my prom dress to my wedding. It's not a super fancy dress or anything. It's a long sequin dress in deep dark blue with one sleeve. My friend Chiara 22F was attending my wedding. Since the wedding, I have worn it on a few occasions because it's the only fancy dress I own. Recently, Chiara was getting married and I was invited. The wedding color scheme was dark blue and she requested fancy attire, so I thought my dark blue dress would be fine. It's not white and it's not even remotely close to a wedding dress. I also didn't feel like wasting money on another fancy dress that I wouldn't ever wear again, especially since we weren't rich. So I showed up at her wedding in my dark blue sequin dress. It wasn't standing out or anything. Most of the guests were wearing even fancier dresses. However, when Chiara saw me, she lost it. She yelled at me in front of all the guests, in front of her husband and my husband, saying that what I did was horrible and that no one shows up at a wedding in a wedding dress. I tried to reason with her, saying that the dress isn't a wedding dress. It's the only fancy piece of clothing I own. I wore it to multiple occasions before and after my wedding. She didn't listen and kept yelling at me to the point her bridesmaids and her husband started trying to calm her down. She also said a bunch of unsavory names to me. I was very upset with the drama and decided to leave with my husband. Then I started getting texts from Chiara, who blamed me for upstaging her on her wedding day, for driving a wedge between her and her husband, since he said that she overreacted massively and upset her friend over a dress. I decided to ignore them because I thought she was being unreasonable, but a part of me thought that I was an a-hole because I wore the dress to my wedding.
Here are the top comments.
Not the a-hole. Anyone reading the headline would have their finger straight on you. In this circumstance, however, as shouting at you for no reason. Even her husband thinks she's an a-hole from the sound of things. I suspect she's not only lost you as a friend, but her husband is likely to lawyer up soon. She sounds like she'd be a nightmare to live with.
Exactly. If I were her husband, I would be so embarrassed to see her act like this.
This is your fancy occasion dress that you wore to prom and multiple other events and just happened to wear to your wedding. It's not a wedding dress, and Kara manufactured a conflict where no one would have even been the wiser. You didn't drive a wedge between her and her husband. She did by acting ridiculously.
I think Chura has a different problem with Opie and deliberately manufactured a situation. She specifically picked dark blue and fancy. She knew Opie wore that dress multiple times. I would think there was a close to zero chance that she thought Opie would go out and get a different dress. I think Chura is a drama llama.
It's clearly not a wedding dress and nobody there will have thought it was. She's just annoyed that you wore your wedding dress. Maybe it speaks to the sort of person she is that she thought you were doing it to try and undermine her wedding day. It definitely speaks to the sort of person she is that she decided to blow up her wedding over it.